27th of November, Rabbi Levitt, Gemora.
Okay, so we chazed over that Mishnah that we did yesterday. And okay, so now we'll go to the, let's go to the Gemora. We'll go right to the Gemora now. Amar Shmuel. And then we're expecting Phil to come in soon. Or you're on the, maybe Phil is, yeah, here comes Phil.
I just forgot to turn on the sound.
Good morning, Phil.
Good morning, Phil.
Good morning.
Good morning. Morning.
Okay.
Phil.
Okay, so we're going to start the Gemora now on Yud Beis Amud Aleph. Amar Shmuel. And we go to Alan to continue the reading.
Right. The Gemara. The Gemara discusses the first ruling of the Mishnah. Omar Shmuel Mipnei Moa Omru Mitzas Katan Levi. Shmuel said, why did the rabbis in the Mishnah say that the find of a minor son belongs to his father? Or Marisor, a cell or bean, but a no. Because when a minor son finds something, he brings it quickly to his father and does not let it tarry in his possession. Therefore, it is presumed that the minor's son's intent when picking up the find is to give it to his father, thus the father acquires the find. The Gemara points out a seemingly contradiction in his teaching of Shmuel. The Sobar Shmuel Koton lay the Chiyor not Chase Roy. Is this to say that Shmuel holds that under the biblical law a minor son does not have independent acquisition, nor shall S Hapo El came B'nai Acharua. But it was taught in the Brisa, if one hired a poor worker to harvest a crop, the worker's son may follow the father and collect it behind him. But if the worker receives a share of the crop, for example, a half, a third, or a quarter of the crop in exchange for his labor, then his son cannot collect it behind him. Rabbi Yosef Omer, base Kaf Uvein, Kaf Yele Kate Beno Ishto Karov. Rabbi Yosef says, in either case, the worker's son or wife can collect it behind him. Omar Shmuel, Lochor Baribi Yom, and Shmuel said this alaka follows Rabbi Yossi.
Okay, let's try to understand this. Okay, just to review what we said so far. We started off, Shmuel said that when a cotton finds something, since we see from what he does, he immediately runs to his father to give it to his father. We see that his intention when he picked it up was to that his father should own it. So it seems like he's acquiring it for his father. So that's why the Mishnah says his father acquires. So on that, the Gemara asked, "Remember the Shmuel, Savar Shmuel, Katan Leis Zechia Lenavshe Midaraisa?" Does this what is Shmuel saying over here? Does Shmuel mean to say that a Katan cannot be Zocha in a Metzia that he finds Minatorah, only Midrabanan? Now, why is it that the Gemara is taking on that assumption? What does the Gemara see about what Shmuel said that made the Gemara say, oh, we see from what Shmuel said that he holds that a Katan has no Sechia Midaraisa. He doesn't have the ability Midaraisa to acquire something. Why? Does Rashi comment on that?
Let's see where the first Rashi is. Metzia Beno.
There's no Rashi. It's a Ritva. There is a sizable footnote though on the point of the son having interdependent acquisition.
But I'm sure they're not focused on my simple question. My simple question is, what is
Rashi? The first Rashi after the Gemara. Neimat Amru, what it says, a Metzia Katan Aviv, that the find of the son is for the father. Bishlema is good with a bito, with a daughter, the Ishtu and the wife, Taima, the reason, Mefaresh, it will be explained, Lav Bimkomon, that they're not in their place in Ketuvos. But no, but in terms of a son, Taima Mai, what would be the reason? So Rashi is just saying there's a question. He understands that Ketuvos answers up for a daughter and a wife, but wouldn't answer up for a son.
Yeah.
And then the next Rashi, should I do the next Rashi? You want to do the next Rashi, Lou?
Lou, you want to read the next Rashi?
Okay, where is it?
Maritza. After the Gemara, it is 4 lines down after the Gemara in the middle. Maritza, Etzel Aviv, that he runs to the father.
Meritza Etzel Aviv, that he runs to the father. Hilchach She Magbia Lit Tzorech Aviv Hagabehem Hagabeha.
Yeah.
Therefore, that when he picks it up, it is in order that it is because he wants to give it to the father.
Yeah, so we see that when he picks it up, based upon what he did, we see that at the time that he originally picked it up, he was picking it up for the needs of the father. That's what was on his mind. As opposed to, in other words, picking it up for himself in order to acquire it for himself. So that's Shmuel's reason why it is that the Mishnah says that when the Katan picks up something, Harei Elu Shalo, it belongs to the father. Okay.
And so I would think that the implication here is that the answer to your question, Rabbi, is that the son can acquire it. If we didn't assume that he wants to give it to the father and that's why the father acquires it, then he would acquire it.
Yeah, right. We don't see anywhere that from what Shmuel said that a minor can't make an acquisition in himself. We just see that Shmuel says his kavanah, his intention, when he picks it up, is for the father. And that's why the father is Conan. But right, the implication is just like you're saying. I think what I'm that if he had intention to pick it up for himself, he would acquire it for himself. So okay, Rashi's not getting into my question. So we'll just go take the Gemora's word for it. If for some reason the Gemora is saying that we see from what Shmuel said, Lememra, based upon what Shmuel said, the Savar Shmuel holds that a Katan does not have the ability to make an acquisition for himself midaraisa, which the implication would be, but he could midarabanan. Midarabanan, the Rabbanan say he's got an acquisition. We learned that before. That's so that other people won't try to start up with him and take it away from him. And it'll lead to fighting and discord. We don't want that. So we say midrabanan that a katan has he has a schia. He has ability to acquire things. Okay. So in any case, that's what Gemora said. And now the Gemora is going to go to the next step and say we got a brisa though that says not like that. V'hasanya. Okay, so Roy's turn to read.
Okay.
Yeah, we read it before, but let's read it again because it's hard. It's hard. It's a hard one.
What from the
Hasanya. First word on the line. One, two, three, 4 lines down from where the Gemora line starts. There's the word Bahasanya.
Vishnu. Often with the Gemora. What am I doing?
Go a few words up. Go where it starts Lemema. It makes more sense to the Lemema. The Hasanya is answering the question of the Lemema. On 12A2 on the left bottom paragraph. Start where it says the Gemara points out. That makes more sense to start that line because it asks the question that the Hatanya is going to answer.
The Gemara points out a seeming contradiction in the teachings of Shmuel. La Mimere de Savar Shmuel la Katan lay Zacharias the Nafshe Is this to say that Shmuel holds that under biblical law a minor son does not have independent acquisition? V'hasanaya hasover es hapa yelaket bono achara. But it was taught in a brisa, if one hired a poor worker to harvest his crop, the worker's son may follow his father and collect leket behind him. One hired a poor worker, the son can collect the leket behind him. The machatza lish v'lir bia lo yalaket b'na acharov. But if the worker receives a share of the crop, for example, a half or a third, or a quarter of the crop in exchange for his labor, then his son cannot collect leket behind him.
Yilakeh beno acharov.
Rabbi Yosef Omer ben Kach uvein Kach v'leket beno v'ishto acharov. Rabbi Yosef says, in either case, the worker's son or wife can collect leket behind him. It doesn't matter if he gets paid. Or, the Omar Shemuel halacha Rabbi Yosef, and Shemuel said the halacha follows Rabbi Yosef.
Okay, let's stop over here. So let's just review the case. The case is that the Bryce is bringing that if the owner of the field, he hires somebody to do the harvesting. And so the first scenario is he hires him and pays him by the day, by the hour. He's called a poel. He doesn't get any share of the crops that he's picking, though. So in that case, the Tanakama says that since he is an ani, so he's really entitled to collect leket shich and peah. So his son could follow after him and collect what he leaves behind, what he does, right? Whatever the laws of leket allow him to do. But if he's getting a portion of the yield of what he's picking, so then he's like a kablan. He's like a sharecropper who gets a portion of what he picks. He's not being paid by the hour, by the day. In that case, even though he's poor and he would be entitled to collect leket, the Tanakama says lo yalaket beno acharov. Then we do not allow the son to collect leket what this worker leaves behind, since he's being paid as a kablan. And Rabbi Yossi says ben kach or ben kach. It doesn't matter how he's being paid. If he's an ani, yalaket beno beishto acharov. His son could collect behind him, and even his wife could collect leket behind him. Okay, that's and so there, see, we got a machlokes between the Tanakama and Rabbi Yossi, and Amar Shmuel, and Shmuel says the halacha follows Rabbi Yossi, that it doesn't make a difference how he's paid. If he's an ani, he can collect the peah. The ben can collect it, and the wife could collect it as well. Okay, so now we got a Rashi over here to read. Yalaket beno acharov. Whose turn is it to read the Rashi? You can split it up. It's a big one.
Yalaket, that's mine. At the start.
Okay.
Yalaket beno acharov. Taking the leket his son can do after him. Mutar lebeno shel poel. It's permitted for a son of a worker, imani, if he's a poor person, l'lakot, to take leket. Acha aviv, after his father. After his father, acha aviv et lakat. After his father took the leket, hanoser. Is that hanoser? That's leftovers.
Right. The
leftovers of the lekets.
The leket is left over.
Right. Yeah. About im kibel, but if he receives it, hapoel, the worker, et hasadeh, he receives the field, lemechetze, like half of it, like It's not like it's no longer just like an ownerless field. He gets half of the field, or shalish, or a third of the field, or levis, or a quarter of the field. A shirhu, then he's a rich person because he's not considered ani anymore because he now has possessions. He owns part of the field. The hare in this, this is like who kabbalah bayis. He's like the owner, the landowner. Of the field, of this field. V'lo yulaket, but no, then his son cannot take the leket after him. Lefi leket bano that laviv, because he would be taking leket of the son for the father, and you can't do it anymore because his father's a rich guy. If I were a rich man, that type of thing. So once he owns part of the field, he's now rich, and he can't take leket anymore. The son would be in the same category as the father.
Okay, so okay, so that's what the Tanakhama says that Rashi's explaining. There's a difference if he's given a portion of the field in terms of getting the produce. In other words, if he collects 5,000 bananas, so he'll get if the deal was that he's going to be the Metzia would mean he's going to get 2,500 bananas. He's going to get half of the crop, or a third, or a quarter. And so since that's what he gets, he's not simply being paid by the hour for his work, but he's sort of like a partner in the he's a partner in getting the produce of the field. So that turns him into an usher according to the Tanakhama, and accordingly, like Phil said, the son could not collect the leket after him because Rashi says lefisha shalokat beno la'aviv, because the whole reason that he's collecting leket is for the sake of the father. The father doesn't qualify to receive leket now. He's an usher. He's not an ani. But it's all based upon the fact that the son is collecting for the father. Okay, now the next Rashi is what Rabbi Yossi says. Benkach ubenkach. We give that to Lou.
Benkach ubenkach. Whether this or whether that. Ha'av ashir haben ani v'zocha la'atzmo.
Oh.
If the father is wealthy but the son is poor, then he, on his own basis of himself, he can collect.
He could, if the father is an usher, a ben, he could still be qualified as an ani. V'zocha la'atzmo, and so therefore, since he has a din of an ani, the son, he could be zocha la'atzmo, meaning he could acquire the leket for himself, la'atzmo, not acquiring it for the father. So we see over here, what do we see over here that Rashi is explaining that makes it difficult based upon what Shmuel said before, according to the Gemora? We see that according to Shmuel, and he says the halacha is like Rabbi Yossi. This is what Rabbi Yossi holds. If Shmuel says the halacha is like that, that means that Shmuel holds that a katan, he has the ability to acquire it for himself. Midaraisa. So not like the Gemara concluded from the statement of Shmuel explanation of our Mishnah.
So in other words, Shmuel wants to say that the son cannot acquire.
That in the case of the Mishnah, in the case of the Mishnah, when Shmuel made his explanation of how it is that how does it work, right? What the Shmuel said, Metzias katan la'aviv. Why does the Mishnah say that that when a katan finds something, it belongs to the father? So for whatever reason, how the Gemora holds, but the Gemora said that what Shmuel said over there implies that Shmuel holds that a katan does not have the ability to be zocha in the item for himself, b'deraisa. But what Rashi is explaining us, according to the Braisa, according to this that Shmuel paskins like Rav Yossi, that the ben could acquire for himself. He could acquire him for himself. And I guess we're assuming that he's a katan over there. So that's the stira, that's the contradiction that the Gemora is pointing out over here between the two statements of Shmuel. Shmuel's explanation of the Mishnah would say that the katan does not have the ability to be zocha in the found article for himself. But we see from the way Shmuel explains in the Braisa, he holds that the ben could acquire for himself. Stira, contradiction.
I don't understand why we have the presumption from Shmuel's initial explanation that the son cannot acquire. Shmuel says the reason that the father acquires is not because the son can't acquire, but because the son has in mind to acquire for the father.
Yeah, so that was the question that we asked. And so I see over here I have a note over here from the Ritva, and the Ritva says he's bothered by this question that you have, and he's trying to address it. So let's see what exactly that he says over here, the Ritva. If it would be the case that the katan could make a kinyan min Torah for himself on this found item, loy maspik tamo shel Shmuel. It wouldn't be sufficient the reasoning of Shmuel kedei levatel es schias hakotan, in order to nullify the acquiring ability that the katan would have, ulechayvo litain es metzia la'aviv, and therefore require the katan to give that metzia that he picked up himself to the father. That's what the Ritva says. So what do we hear from the Ritva? The Ritva says, I don't really see in my humble opinion, how the Ritva is answering the question either. But I mean, his answer more or less is that we couldn't, if the katan made a kinyan, if he would have the ability to make a kinyan for himself. So the Ritva says that Shmuel's reasoning would not be enough to explain why it is that he's got to give it to the father when he picks it up. Lo maspik tamo shel Shmuel kedei levatel es chias hakotan ulechayvo litain es metzia la'aviv. There's another point that's made over here. Okay, that's something else. But there's a whole, I see there's a whole discussion over here 1 second. What's the Tosfos Rosh have to say? Pirush Sheilas HaGemora Lememer de Savar Shmuel Katan Leis Leis Zechia Midaraisa Hakavana Shagam Midrabanan Ein Lo Zechia. Oh, not like I thought. When the Gemora asks that it would seem from Shmuel that the Katan doesn't have the ability to be Kona Midaraisa, the intention is that even Midrabanan also Midrabanan, he doesn't have really an intrinsic ability to make a kinyan. Since he didn't pick up the item for himself, only for the father, so we see that he didn't have any intention to acquire it for himself. How could it be that he would be able to acquire this lost item? Perusho keven de behemshech rotza gemor lo chiach midivrei Rav Yossi sheyesh lekoten zechia afilu me'atorah lechein nokta gam bekushya leis leis zechia midaraisa. Oh, okay. Okay, I'll tell you from what I read over here, all of this, I still think that we have a question. I don't see how they're addressing really the question 100%. I mean, I see that they're addressing the question, but I don't think what they say answers it, in my humble opinion. So I don't know. We got to do some more research on this one. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I read a footnote that's quoting the Ritva, which basically I think is the same thing you're reading. And I don't get it. I agree with you. I don't see that he answers the question.
Okay, so we're holding here with the so really what we the Gemora's we could just say to the Gemora, don't make a contradiction between what Shmuel says in the Brisa and what Shmuel says in the Mishnah. Shmuel, maybe that's what the Gemara is going to say. The Gemara is going to readjust what the way that we understand what Shmuel said to explain the Mishnah in a way that will be consistent with the way that we're explaining what Shmuel said in the Brisa. But that we'll have to do tomorrow on Yom Chamishi.
Be well.
Lou, 4 o'clock.
Okay.
Lou?
Thank you.
10:04.
Okay.
Hey, all the best, everybody.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Lou. Bye.